A group of cyclists are biking across the Midwest to raise awareness and funds for Be the Match. That is a nonprofit organization which plays a role in bone marrow and blood stem cell transplants all over the U.S. And tonight we spoke with a 13-year leukemia survivor who is leading the charge for awareness.
For me, it's really important that patients going through this really difficult process of all that chemo and in some cases whole body radiation, and then the transplant and the long recovery after the transplant. I think it's important for them to know that there's people out here doing this kind of stuff that are doing fine.
And he says he hopes more people sign up for Be the Match. Tomorrow, the riders will cross the finish line at the University of Wisconsin Carbone Cancer Center.